a missile radar machine. It's actually quite large. It's not really tiny. So the stream died on you guys. Looks like it's streaming for me. What are you on? So you're on. It kicked you guys off. Oh. Wait. Are you back now? Let me see. Twitch kicked you guys out? Interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing that Twitch is not... let me check. Let me check. It's saying that it's going to Twitch. Oh, you had to go back in? Oh, okay. So it's good now? At Twitch. Let me take a look at Twitch real quick on my side. Because on my Twitch, it's still showing my loading screen. Let me see. Right now, it's showing it's going to all 4 platforms. Okay, so you guys have it now? It's working for you now? For the Twitch people? ZBrush. Okay, so wait, I'm getting a bunch of different things. Right now you're saying ZBrush Live is 404 right now? Okay, let me, well obviously, that doesn't, I can't stream if there's no way to listen to the stream. Oh wait, I'm in the wrong keyboard. Oh, it's going, it says it's broadcasting, so is there server going on an issue? Let's see what I'm getting. Okay, I'm getting on ZBrush Live, I'm getting what I'm showing right now. That's definitely here. Let me just look at the stream. Yeah, it's definitely a, well, there's a delay, but I would expect a delay from my real time. Hold on, I'm just doing a test because you guys, anybody else? Okay, everyone else says it's good to go. So Twitch is back. Okay. I was just rotating my model, which is a Lockheed Martin missile radar. I'm just rotating it right now. You guys are seeing that, okay? What about my YouTube, the YouTube people? What about you guys? Anybody having issues on that side? It says I'm on Facebook. It looks like you're good. Twitch looks like you're good. Hey, Mixer. We got Mixer people on here right now, too. Anybody else not seeing that? And let me go to my YouTube, our YouTube real quick, since I don't know what just happened there. Maybe there was a hiccup in the system. Wouldn't be the first time. Okay, Twitch seems okay. Okay, good. Hold on, I'm checking YouTube real quick. Okay, YouTube is good too. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, let's go. Let's get back into it again. Okay. Okay, you're good on Mixer? Great. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. I don't have any idea why you guys lost the connection right there. That was weird. Okay, so again, back to what I was talking about today. I'm looking at doing kind of like weapons or, you know, things like props like this. And I really want to show, there's a couple features that I really take advantage of to do this. So I want to show you my techniques for this. Okay. So, and again, as always, fire away questions as we're working here. And then you're good to go. Hello from Italy. Rename my camera. Oh, you mean you want to see more of me? You talking about my webcam? I don't know why you want to see. Is that, there you go, that better for you? You don't want to see a lot of me, come on. All right, so I love to sculpt characters, but I'm having problems to start work. It's like I feel bored before I starting, but once I start, I really enjoy. Any tips? So Jupiter. So you're feeling bored before starting? That's a tough one. I think that's just like any artist. You got the little person on your shoulder saying, "Hey, you're not doing good," or "It's not that good." I think you gotta realize when you're sculpting, it's in stages and steps, right? And you gotta be willing to understand the first couple stages aren't going to be the what makes people go, well, that's cool factor, right? And you just got to learn to power through that. And you got to learn to also, I think it's very crucial, just like I'm going to start to do this, even when I'm going to do these weapons and things like that, it's the very beginning stages is so important to me. I think the first 20% of sculpting, that's it. That's where your sculpt really lives. That's where it comes alive, because that's where you're setting the proportions right. That's where you're getting the silhouette right, you know, all that. Okay? So I would definitely actually take that beginning part and really hone it in and really look at what you're doing and understand that this is just going to be kind of a blocky outlook of whatever you're working on, and it's going to get to something really excellent. And then obviously always pick something that you're passionate about if you can, unless you know you're at somewhere, a studio or something, and your boss says, you're sculpting this today. I'm like, oh, sweet, chairs, awesome, right? So I guess that's some of the advice I can give you. You're going to order some Polyguy Studio. You're going to order some merch? All right. Yeah, it's hard to push through those beginning stages. But here, maybe this will help. So, in essence, I want to take something like this, okay? Like a gun and a weapon, in essence. And what I like to do, which is number one, what's up, Yepkin? Which is number one for me, is getting a nice side shot of the weapon. Because that's how I'll start to make sure I establish my proportions right. Like this barrel, how long really is it? How big is this handle? Like how big is the trigger? I think that's really, really important, okay, to take a look at. Hold on, and now I just lost my chat. Man, oh, there we go. I don't know what the heck that was that popped up. Okay, so this is what I like to do. So I'm gonna take something like this, okay, which is a Dragunov weapon, all right? So this is just a texture that I've imported. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm looking for something like this, right? So it would be obviously very beneficial to get also a back, or i.e. front view, so you can establish those widths. Obviously, the number one, I think, for this, if you're trying to replicate this 3D-wise, honestly, the best thing is to do is to, if it's cheap enough, buy a replicate of the weapon that you're trying to do. Okay? So something like this, okay, is really important for me. So I like to drop this into my scene and use it as a guide for me. Okay? So my preferred method for myself for this is using the floor grid. Because I like the transparency ability. So I'm going to the draw menu. And let me dock this because my webcam is actually blocking what you guys can need to see. That way I can scroll up. There we go. We don't need that. And we'll go there. Okay. So, because I've imported an image already, okay, which is just texture import, nothing fancy here. What I want to do now is establish that texture and use it, okay? So over here, I'm going to go, there's these front, back, up, down, left, rights, okay? So this is going to help me establish what I'm looking for, okay? And then these are going to be different planes. So normally I would probably do, you say, okay, let's turn on a floor grid, okay? And you can see there's a floor grid now popping up. And I'm going to say map 1 on the left, right, and I click on it, and you'll see that weapon will drop into place as an image. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking to have this ability to look at this image and start kind of lining things up for myself. Okay. I think, yeah, for Jupiter, for your question, is it better to pose the character when working on the costume? That's a yes and no. If you're having a costume that there's a lot of things going on that have symmetrical items, like i.e. maybe you're doing like a collar on a shirt, right? That collar's really easy to lay more down in like a T-pose, or maybe you got stuff on like the shoulders, maybe there's buttons or whatever it might be. That I would do symmetrically. But when you take a look at my shirt, right, as I move, there's different wrinkles happening. So yeah, that I don't do any kind of that wrinkling or anything like that until like the person's kind of posed, because then now the wrinkles need to make sense based upon the pose. So if that helps. But if there's stuff like if you're gonna do like some kind of like soldier that's wearing a helmet, right? It's a helmet, so that it doesn't make sense to try and make that in asymmetrical pose. I would do that symmetrically. So what you gotta learn to do is all the items that clothing wise that makes sense to do symmetrically, do that, and then pose your character and then update based upon cloth movement and things like this. Okay, so back to this. What I like to do with this is I want to tell ZBrush, you know what, I want to change my fill mode. So I'm going to change it to 3. And you can see what happens now is the image got a lot brighter and the model kind of almost like it disappeared. Okay? It's not disappearing, right? It's still there. It just became more transparent. This is what I like about this feature. Because then you have these 2 sliders here that I can change the opacity, and then this is what's awesome. If you turn this one all the way up, this enhanced factor one, all the way up to 1, you can pretty much, you're only looking at the outline of the gun now. Okay, and in all honesty, in this stage, that's what's important. And now we've got this little thing up here, right, which is going to be huge for me. Because now I can just see a black and white silhouette of what I'm trying to make. Okay? What's going on, Matt? You're not late. You're fine. We had a little issues in the beginning anyways. Okay, so, but I can also play with the opacity of the image. So that's what this slider below does. Okay? And then again, the slider above it is playing with the opacity of the model. Okay? No, I don't have ghost on. There's no ghosting on. All it is this feature. It has its own ghosting ability to make all the subtools have a transparency through them. So you can see the gun's there. There's no ghost on transparency. It's because now I've dropped an image in the floor grid. And then this will move with me, right? And then you can add images to any side of the plane. So I'm just going to stick with this one for now. Let's go ahead and grab a mesh. I'm going to use a cube. This is my preferred start method. Okay, and I'm going to say cube, and I'm going to turn on polyframe because I don't want any spans. I want to start with something like this. Really simple, okay, just 6-sided polygons. Okay, so now you can see I really only see the cube when I'm looking straight at the image. So this is why I kind of like this feature. There are other ways to line up stuff, okay? This is not the only way. But this is my preferred method. I just like this one. It's simple, it's easy for me. I like the ability to have this visibility happening, okay? So it makes things fun. And I like changing the opacity of this to help me when I'm working, okay? So to your question, Commander-in-Chief, becoming a good anatomy superstar, honestly, there's no trick. It's sculpt, 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 sculpt. Really, that's it. You got to just sculpt. I would say the best thing to do to really learn anatomy, pick one anatomy piece every week and sculpt nothing but that. Like say, every day, give yourself 30 minutes and sculpt that anatomy. For i.e. example, you're going to do nothing but noses next week. So every day, you're going to do a different nose, or kick out as many noses as you can in 30 minutes. And then the following week, do eyes. And the following week, do an arm. That, honestly, is the best way. And then, obviously, references. References, 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 references. Okay? So, interactive. You're saying in the top left, interactive, in the sense, how do you mean interactive? I'm clicking and it's trying to save. Because it will update as I start to make this model. That top left is going to update for me. I'm going to turn off my quick saves. I'm not going to save it so often. There we go. Okay, so what I mean by that is I start doing this, you can see that updates up on the top. Right? So for me, I'm using this as a guide to get proportions down. So this is why I like a 6-sided cube. I'm just blocking this off real quick. That's my goal, okay? And I'm using masking, right? So if I turn my floor off, all I'm doing is doing this. I'm dragging this out, and then I'm holding the Alt key. And what that does, it unmasks these 4 points and masks those 4 points. So now when I use my gizmo, only that top part is moving, Okay, so now if I throw my image back in there, I can say, okay, this is pretty much where the top's going to live for this part. And then in here, this is going to live right about there. Okay, so I'm just right now quickly just getting some quick bounding boxes, some things that I want to have, right? Is the touch on? There we go. My touch is on, driving me crazy. Okay, so I'm just going to do, I don't have anything from the top, so I'm just going to do kind of something like that. It's pretty much general idea here. So obviously I would have an image from the top as well, if I could. Now moving on here, I'm going to say, okay, let's copy this. So now I've got 2 of them. So as you can see, if I turn off my floor grid here, I've got 2 cubes. So all I did to do this is in the gizmo mode, I held down Control and clicked on the arrow, and it made another copy for me. Right, so now this is automatically masked off for me. Okay, turn this back on and I say, okay, now let me get relative proportions here. So let's mask those points. This doesn't sit as high. It's more like that. And then this sits more like that. Okay, now I need, let's do a barrel. So again, once again, I'm gonna hold the Control key. What's up, Dr. Depresso? Welcome. And move over. Again, same thing. Nothing new here. Okay? Yeah, gun for the Gremlin. I thought I was gonna do the Gremlin, but I figured you guys would be sick and tired of Gremlin, seeing him. Okay? So I figured, you know what, let's do some weapons. Let's do something different. Let's change it up. Because I didn't want to bore you guys with the Gremlin, because now it's just straight sculpting for my Gremlin. So now I have this. So now I want a cylindrical piece. Right, so again, let me turn off this floor, a grid. You can see these 2 are masked off. I've just copied both of them. But because these are on masked and I have the gizmo on, I click this gear and I come here and hit cylinder 3D. What I get is a cylinder. Because that's pretty much what I want, right? And then bingo bango. So I really like this workflow for me. Because it's a simple way to really just start working fast. And now I get a barrel. I need to size it down more. It's going to sit more. I'm going to go a little bit bigger. I'm going to go more of that world. And I want it to be, there you go, that long. Okay? And then now I need to make the back portion. Okay? Or in fact, since we already got a cylinder, let's go ahead and put the scope in. Right, so I'm going to mask off those points. I'm going to move that. Okay, and this needs to be a lot bigger. So I'm going to, again, just use that handy dandy ability to quickly mask something off. And then resize, and then there you go. So I got, again, I am just trying to establish some very simple things, and then like this actually goes to that question, right? This is not exciting right now. This is like, okay, this is like great. Commander-in-Chief, yes. Don't worry, we got stuff coming up. Steve Lord may be one of those coming up artists, yes. You made a female gremlin for the second movie last year. But everyone said it's cursed. I think the second one was fun with just the different gremlins, actually. As much as it gets made fun of. I liked it. So starting from an image on a plane, you can 100% do that. But why do that when that's pretty much what this is? This is the same thing. But you can. That's easy to do. If you want to use an image plane. I guess the only benefit to that is you can use masking to create the shapes real fast. Nice. All right, so continuing on my journey here of just quickly blocking something out. Right, I want a cube again here because I want to now block out the butt end here. We'll mask that off. Goes to about there. And goes to about there. Okay, and then now let me get also a cube. for the magazine, just so I'm going to have a good knowledge of where I stand with this. Okay, so I'm looking at just major shapes right now, right? And you can see it is not pretty in any shape, way, or form. Is this pretty? Okay, but I'm now, at least I know the length of my gun, I know the width of my gun, right? I know where I need to go, and now I start doing some refining here. Okay, so as an example, obviously the magazine should not be this wide. It should definitely be not as wide as that, right? And then the butt end stock here, this needs to be tapered in a lot more, something more like that, right? So this seems really weird right now, but this is how all those weapons I already pulled up, this is kind of how I started with them too. It's simple things. Yeah, so your question right now, Wavy Gravy. God, you guys have some good names in here. Mine's boring. Mine's just Paul. Wavy Gravy, that's awesome. I like it. So Wavy Gravy's asking, hey Paul, sometimes you find three-sided images of reference, but usually if it fits from side and top, it will not fit from front view. Any tricks? This is another reason why I like using this. Okay, it has the ability to crop images. It has the ability to change it. So let me see if I can import a different image. Hold on. Let me raise my Cintiq here because I need to get to my mouse. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I have an image that I'm thinking of to kind of give you an idea here. Let's see. We got a horse's head. Perfect. And let's say horse's head anatomy. Okay. So, as an example, like you're saying, things might not line up. Okay? So, this is going to be a tangent, right? 100% tangent going on in here. Okay, so hold on. I don't know why my computer is hating me today. Okay, so tangent. Here we go. I'm going to switch out the images. Okay, so left and right, I have now a horse anatomy here. And then front and back, okay, I have this horse anatomy, right? So in this example, right, the images are sitting in actual different spots of what I want to use. Like I want to use this one, and I want to use this one. But i.e., this is also a fantastic image. Me personally, if I was sculpting a horse like this, I'd actually start with the bone structure. I would start with this and this, because I think that's super important. You should have some kind of bone structure look into this, right, before you start diving into things like this. But what the benefit is of this particular feature, okay, is I can say, okay, this image, I'm going to adjust it. And so now what I'm looking at is the adjustment of this. So I can grab these red circles and do something like that. And then when I hit OK, you can see the only thing I get now is the front view of that horse. So if I come here to the side one and do the same thing, so the only part of the image I care about is that, hit OK, and then you can see what we have. Now to your question, things lining up, this is why I like this as well, is I can use the floor grid. So I'm going to make the floor grid really, really bright for you guys, so you guys can see it, okay? And use the floor grid as a reference. So you can see in this particular image, the top of this ear, right, is sitting way up here where that's not sitting as high as here, okay? But the thing you guys have to remember here is these are drawings. So when Dietrich drew these in literally 1902 in like late 1800s, right? He wasn't doing this in the sense of, hey, an artist is going to use this as a reference. He was doing this as, I'm watching someone take a cadaver of a horse, take it apart, and I'm drawing that anatomy for people to learn from and the veterinarians to learn from. This is an amazing artist. He's got like books and stuff of his work. It's just incredible. In fact, I have a book of his work somewhere here. I don't know. It's an awesome book. I don't know if I can find it real quick. Yeah, here it is. So this is a book that I have. Like, it's not very big. It was like literally $10. So it's all of his drawings. And like this guy was an amazing, just incredible drawer, like a renderer. It's just incredible. He's got like a cat in here, right? Stuff like this. He's showing all the bone structuring, right? So that's in essence the reference image that I'm using right now. They are his drawings. Okay, so back to this. So with that said, don't get married to the images too much, right? Because they're not meant to be lined up anyways, right? So you got to pick a focal point. His name is Dietrich. Here, if you just do here, let me put it in chat real quick for you, so you can know who the heck I'm talking about. Here's his name. So if you just look up H. Dot here, Dietrich, and if you just put that in and put like horse anatomy, he'll pull up. You'll get it. I know the University of Wisconsin owns a bunch of his drawings, and they have them up online as well. There you go. So now that you have this, okay, I want to now adjust these. So this is what's nice about this. I can say, okay, let me scale this down. So what I'm going to use as my main reference is the eye, right? So this is what I like about the 4 grid. It's sitting between here and here, right? So then this needs to move. Let's move this, right, vertically, horizontal, right? So I'm going to move this down to be more in line there, right? So I'm looking through here, and then now you also see the benefit is when you have a mesh, there's these lines that protrude out from the mesh that's going to allow you to line things up. Okay, and now you can see this ear is very lined up now, and you can see the bottom of his. So I'm happy with this. This is perfect. So this is how I would line up multiple images. And then you also have scaling ability, right? So I can scale images. So if one image is bigger than another, you can scale it. So this is why I like using this. Then say the question somebody was asking before, putting an image on a plane and then sculpting from that. That's it. You're stuck with that. So I prefer this. Okay? Sorry, my daughter's with me because my wife is really sick right now. So I have her in my room with me, unfortunately. Well, it's not unfortunate, but she might interrupt us from time to time. Okay, so let's go back to what I was working on now. Okay, does that answer that question for you? Let's go. We wanted the gun again. Okay. Okay. So now that I have this kind of positioned, now's when I'll start to kind of refine things a little bit. Since I'm super low polygon, I'm going to use Zmodeler to just refine some stuff. So, i.e. this one, I'm going to insert an edge through here. Okay, so this is now where maybe I would change my opacity so I could start seeing the model a little bit more and just barely see the image. So I can see there's an edge loop I added right there. Okay, so as I start now moving this, I'm just using the gizmo. I'm establishing, okay, there needs to be a point there because then these need to come up and give that angle, right? And I know this from the top view, this particular gun needs to have a little tapering there, and then a little bit more tapering there, right? So there's a little bit of taper there in the handle, or up there in the, up there. Okay. So this is now what I'm going to start to do. I'm going to start coming to each one of these. And let's just go back to the back here, to the, because I want to show you guys how I would do this part, because that's going to involve another feature. So I'm going to say, all right, I need an edge right there. okay, because I need these now to come up. Give me something like that, right? I need an edge right there, and I need an edge right there. And then now I'm going to say, just get rid of that. And now I'm starting to establish that look right there that I want to have. Okay, and then I'm going to say, let me also do this. And again, this is very simplistic, very simple, but it's going to get me to where I need to get for this particular weapon. So I'm going, this is my ADD kicking in, and then wanting these points over here to also be moved together. Yeah, something like that. Okay? And this should have probably a little bit of a taper at the end as well. So I'm just going to taper that out. Let me recenter that. Give it a little bit of taper right there. Maybe not that much. It's a little excessive from the taper department. It's a little excessive. Okay, so hi from Spain, Santos. So I'm using the combination of Zmodeler with just masking in the gizmo right now just to start establishing some shapes. I'm just using the Zmodeler to start giving me some stuff that I want, right? And I saw a question coming through, someone asking about reestablishing the curve line within a tube. No, there's no way to establish that quickly without a long trick that I can show you. But no, there's nothing. Once the curve's gone, you can't get it back. I saw that question come through. Okay, so now what I want to do is start organizing myself. And I'm looking at, okay, I'm going to start making the back of this piece, right? And I want to start making the back here. So I'm going to grab just this piece, and now this is where I'm going to come to a subtool, and I'm going to split this off and make this one, okay? And let's start also being smart about this and putting it in a folder. Okay, so I'm just going to call it the back, and then I'll rename this main back, right? And that way I can know what this is, okay? Now, the next thing I want to do is we are going to be dividing this. So I'm going to turn this off, right? And, oh, I did not bring this part. I forgot to bring this part over. No biggie. I will merge down and weld. There we go. They're all one again. Okay. So, obviously, this looks really boxy. It's not good, right? So, I got to look at what does this look divided. So for me, I want to still have the usability of the Zmodeler in this routine and doing other things. I'm going to now go, all right, I'm going to hit the D key, which for dynamic or dynamite, right? And that's going to say, hey, I'm going to say always yes. Let's put in this. We're going to close this. We don't need that anymore. Okay? And this is now showing me a preview of what 2 subdivision levels look on this particular model, right? So right here over in the geometry dynamic subdivs, there is right here, here's off and on. And I'm just using the shortcuts off and on. Okay, and right by default, we're always gonna show you 2 subdivision levels. Okay, so I kind of like going to at least 4 because then usually the mesh is at least nice and smooth. Right, so we're starting to get a little bit something closer now. We're starting to get some smoothness in here. There's some roundness happening in here, but it's not putting my image back on. Okay, I have lost kind of the silhouette now, right? And then again, up here, looking up here in the top, right? I will be looking at this area constantly when I'm doing this part. So what I like to do personally, there's a lot of rules of thought for this. I could just pretty much insert an edge loop, right, and start doing that. Me, I prefer saying, you know what, I'd rather these edges right here, I'd rather just crease those, right? So I just do a complete creasing of those. right? And now you got something like this, and you can say, you know what? I'm gonna crease just this edge. You know what? Let's also turn symmetry on. Let's see, I'm along the X. I need to be along the X. Okay? And I want those two. And then now this will start to happen. Right? And then now if I do this, and then say, okay, let's also crease this. Now you can see I'm starting to get a little more of a rounded shape that I was looking for. Okay? And then now you can see it's starting to take on a little bit more of what I'm looking for here. And then now, this is why I don't like to add edges. Okay, here's the this is definitely Elisa needs braces. And wait for it. Look up here! Look at me! Look at me! Okay? This is why I personally don't like to just start throwing edges. Because I want to refine this shape a little bit more. I want these points right here to come down more. Right? So this is easy, boom, and I'm still now getting this very nice line happening here. Okay? Whereas if I would have taken the approach, instead of creasing like I did, adding an edge loop, this is the problem I would have ran into. So if I would have added an edge loop, you now have another edge loop. In essence, you got more faces here. So now when I go to do this, right, this edge, if you look, see it's creating a point of interest. Right, instead of just a smooth point of interest through here, right? So if I now delete, right, let me delete this. See the difference? That's without the edge. There's with the edge. Without the edge, with the edge. Okay, so I only add edges at this stage to kind of refine the shape more. That's all I'm going to do at this stage, right? Because I know creasing is going to give me pretty much what I'm looking for here. Okay? So now you can see I start to get a little bit more refined shape. I'm getting the roundness that I'm looking for on the barrel. Well, on the butt end, right? Okay, I need now, there needs to be a little bit more roundness at the top. Okay? So this is all I have to do now is come to here, and I'm going to say, I'm going to work locally here. Okay, so you see this local sim button? I'm going to tell ZBrush I'm working locally. All right? And now I'm going to come over here to my modify topology, and I'm going to hit mirror and weld along the X. And then what it does is adds an edge loop dead center. Okay, and it's mirror and welding it over. Right, so I could also do that with the Zmodeler. I could hold spacebar on an edge action, switch to multiple edge loops, then switch to specific edge loops being only one. And if I don't want the polygroups to change, I would say keep polygroup. And then when I click, that edge loop's dead center. So either way will work for you, but that technique, little trick I showed you right there, obviously if I got a model that's kind of not centered anymore and it's off-centered and it's rotated, mirror and weld's not going to work for you. But this will. I use this all the time when I'm using Zmodeler. I'm a fan of this. Okay, now I can use some masking and unmasking again, and start maybe putting a little bit of some more roundness in there, more of what this should probably have in it. Right? And then now, because I'm so low polygon, I can continue. Just keep quickly editing this up really quick to get to match what I want. Right? And when I need to get a little more refinement, again, this is when okay, if I want a little more refinement here, I'll add an edge loop right there. Right? Because then now I can use that edge loop with also the edge loop that I have right now. So we'll recenter that. So we're looking at this. And then I can kind of, all right, let's refine this a little bit there. Okay, but now that I have that edge loop, I can pull on this face portion a little bit more. Okay, and now maybe, well, I had a unmasked point over here. Pull on that. Okay, and now I have this. And then I'm gonna say, okay, let's also, this needs to be a little bit more sharp, so I'm just gonna this time just throw some creasing on this. Okay, and so this is what I'm starting to make, right? And then down here, these edges are also going to need some creasing. Okay, so I'm going to crease these here, right? And then flatten that. And now this here, it's got a little, okay, going on it. I need to fix that. So what I'm going to do is just go to masking one edge, right? And then just pull this up, right? To just kind of give me more of a flatter piece right there. And then that point, this is me being very particular. And then now you see, you get that. So if we turn off our floor, you can see I'm starting to get what's in my image. Now, the next thing for me now is, now that I'm starting to get this, the refinement is, the creasing that I have is way too sharp. I think this is important, especially doing something hard surface. We can be perfect in a 3D program, but it's not perfect in real life. This particular weapon does not have this perfectly sharp edging going right there, right? It doesn't have it. So I should not have that in the weapon. So right now I'm creasing those edges. I'm looking at 4 subdivision levels of my dynamic. So I'm gonna go into my creasing and use this slider, okay, which is my crease level, and I'm gonna drop it down. And the minute I get below 4, watch what happens on the end. And you can see the lower I go, the more rounded off things are gonna get now, right? So for me personally, my go-tos to start off when I'm using dynamic subdivs is have this crease level at 2 and have this smooth subdivision level at 4. Okay? So what I'm getting now is that, right? That's a lot better. It's not so sharp on either ends, down here, down there. Okay? Now's where maybe I might want to add an edge loop. So now I'll add an edge loop in here to kind of just refine that a little bit. So this allows me to play with that end. So I can throw in sliding as well. Whoops. And then just slide. I don't know why it keeps doing that. And then you can see I can get that a little bit more what I want. Okay, the next thing that I'd probably want to do is put a little bend in here, right? So this edge loop right here is going to allow me to just throw a little bit of a bend. It doesn't need to be a huge bend, right? Something just subtle, just to give that understanding that this needs to sit within his shoulder, right? And I'm just doing simple masking. Like, I love this ability to do this and then hold the Alt key, right? You guys are probably used to doing something else, right? If I go, like this feature, it seems small, but look how much I'm using it right now. It's actually, it's very valuable to me. So what I mean by that is, how many of you are like, okay, I wanna do this, but this is actually the part I want to work on, and then you guys mask, and then you inverse your mask, right? I'm doing that all in one step. I'm rolling it out, and then holding the Alt key. And because I'm holding the Alt key, ZBrush is going to mask everything outside the box, and keep whatever's inside the box unmasked. Well, creasing is going to, apply at the same time as dynamic. So all dynamic subdivs is doing for us is showing us a preview as if we were able to divide the model 4 times. It's showing what that model would look like 4 times. But the benefit of dynamic is I can continue to use things like Zmodeler. Because once you've divided, you can't use Zmodeler anymore. So think dynamic more as like kind of like a previewer in a way. So now I can say, okay, I'm pretty happy with this. This is starting to look good. It's starting to represent what I'm trying to make here, right? Going back to my image. Again, I'm not going to marry myself too much to the image. All right, this one's pretty good. It looks like it was pretty straight on. Okay? Okay, so now I'm like, okay, this is looking good. I like, this is pretty much a good base mesh. Let's start adding some elements here, okay? So there needs to be a little metal piece, you know, where it's going to sit within the shoulder. So right here in the back here, right? And then there's a little metal piece through right here. So this is how I'm going to make this. This is super, super simple. Okay, so I'm going to come out here to this part, to these four right here. Okay, these four right here. I'm going to say, let's Q mesh it. Okay, so I'm going to temporary paint a polygroup by holding the Alt key and then just painting over there. And then I'm going to say Q mesh. And then because it's single polygon with temporary, I can pull on this. And you see it's pulling it off. But what I'm going to do is that. So I'm pulling it actually off, ripping it off of the existing topology. This is how I match things, like, because this is wood and then this is metal. So let's do that again. I'm clicking here, and when you click in Q mesh, it's doing this, but if you hold the control key, it's pulling it off. And then now I'm still holding the control key, and now I just keep tapping the Alt key to change the polygrouping. And then now I can say, again, same thing, and then add a little thickness to that, right? And then now when I do this, see, those line up because I built it from the existing, right? But what's going to be nice now, okay, is this piece, even though it's the same subtool, it's actually separate, right? And then this is what's going to start selling that metal part at the end, right? Because now there's a nice line there, and now it looks like two different materials. So i.e., let's throw a little color in this, right? So let's say, let's throw some color, fill object, and let's now select this piece out, and let's make this be a nice dark gray, color, fill object, and then now you got something like that. It's a little dark. It's a little dark. Yeah, that's probably a little bit better, right? And now, so you can visually see what I'm doing here. I'm making the separate pieces, okay? So now I come down here, and I'm going to do the same thing, right? I'm going to paint temporary, rip it off, change that polygroup. It's very important. Change that polygroup, and then now give it some thickness, okay? And then now I have this, and then everything is matching out, right? So I'm going to select out just that little portion, and now I'm going to hold the Alt key and tap there, and then now here's that metal part that belongs on this gun. And if I want to continue this theme of using color, right, this is what I can start to do. Right, and now you can see all this starting to shape up together. Now, the next thing I want to look at doing is, all right, I've started to establish now this piece. It's really starting to come to life. It's really starting to look a little bit more like my reference. Okay, so now I need to make these middle pieces, these cut-in pieces through here, right? And if this particular gun, you see it also has another cut piece in it right there, right? So this is not on the other side. So you can see there's wood right there. So there's kind of like a round square hole going through the whole piece from the side to side, and then there's the same thing here, but then right there, there's still, right, some wood there. Okay, so I gotta establish this. So the easiest thing for me to do this is actually quite simple for me, is I'm gonna look at this and use this image again. So let me go ahead and let's turn off the color paint a little bit more. Let's go back and bring back that image a little bit more so I can really see that image pretty good. Okay? And then now I want to go, all right, let's make this piece. Right? So I've currently got this main back part selected. I'm going to go in my light box, comma, 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 right? And I'm going to go into, on the top here, these are all folders, these names, right? Wavy gravy. I'm going the direction I'm going, you're right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I want to use Spotlight. All right, and I'm going to grab, it doesn't, honestly, for what I'm about to do, it doesn't matter which one, but I'm just going to load this one. Okay, and I'm going to go into Spotlight now. So what we have now is all these images just sitting here in space. So right now I'm in Edit Spotlight mode. Okay, I got to move these because my webcam is blocking them. All right, so this is what we have. Something like this. And what I want to do is use these images now. Oh yes, Christmas in the Corner, Dr. Presso. You like that one, huh? You like that one? That was another one of those I just came up on the whim with. So here's the cool part. I can use these shapes, but I'm going to make my own shape because what I want is this shape here. And this is again going to the fact, the more you learn about ZBrush, the more you learn the features, you know down the line, I already knew what feature I was going to use to make this. Just like I know what I'm going to use to make that. Like looking at it, my mind is like chess. I knew, okay, I'm going to box model this out real quick. I know I can rip off, and then now I'm going to use Spotlight for this, and I'm going to use something else for this, right? To me, it's like playing chess. I'm looking at a couple pieces in front, but it's only because I know all the features, and I know where I want to go, okay? Yeah, the Stan Winston School does have ZBrush courses as well. Yes, it does. And I saw people talking about Gnomon. Definitely does as well. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to zoom this up a little bit more just so it's bigger, okay? Just so you got a little bit more to see for your side. And go back into Edit Spotlight, and I'm going to grab this image. And I'm just going to resize it so it fits kind of that hole, right? I want the orange outline, right, to be bigger than the hole, in essence, okay? And right now, loading things in the Spotlight, right when it's loading, just clicking on the image anywhere moves the image. You can see the dial moves. If you want to move the dial to another location, you click in the middle here. So you see that red and green line where they're meeting. Let's see, can you guys see that in the stream? Right there, you see that red and green? That's in essence the very middle point, okay? And so this allows me, anywhere I click in here allows me to move the dial. So I'm going to just snap it to the center of the image, right? And if I click with inside the dial now won't move anywhere. If I click outside the dial, it will move every time I click, okay? And so again, I'm just putting an image here. I want the bounding box to be bigger than what I'm trying to make. Then I'm going to turn on the paintbrush here, okay? And we're going to need to switch to a brush. So I'm going to switch to the paint here, okay? And I'm going to say switch colors. So I hit the V key as in victory! So I guess this is probably a lot of Lisa Needs Braces. Look up here! And to boot, an inception of information. Okay. So I've now selected a paintbrush, which is just paint. And by hitting the V key, what I'm doing is over here, I'm over here now, switching the colors from white to black by hitting the V key. And you can see the model's changing to black, right? So now, using this, I can actually erase the image. So you can see there's a little bit of a roll-off to that black. So on the brush, I'm going to throw an alpha on this so that I don't have as much as a roll-off. And if you throw an alpha, the more sharp it is, okay, the more it's not going to have that. See, this has got a little bit of that black roll-off. If I'm throwing a little bit more sharper on it, you can do this. And then you can also change your focal length too to help you for things as well. So something like this. Perfect. So in essence, I've erased that. Okay? Glad you liked my joke. Right? So now I'm going to hit the V key to go back to white. Right? And I'm going to say, all right, let's go with something like this. And let's paint in white here. Paint in white there. Let's paint in white there. So now I'm just tracing pretty much this opening, right, that exists on this particular weapon. Right? And I'm not worried about being too perfect, honestly, even though my ADD wants me to be kicking in right now. And then here's the beauty. If you guys hold the Alt key, ZBrush is now going to paint with the alternate color, which in my case right now is black.
Dad.
Right?
Dad.
So, right? So that is allowing me to switch from white to black. Right? And so I can hit the V key. The Alt key, not the V key. And kind of refine this. So what I want to do is just fill this all with white, right, in the middle. I just want this to be solid white. Because what this feature is going to do for us is it's going to use the white color to make an image, to make the model for me, actually. Right? And again, I said don't be perfect. I can't help myself. My eye doesn't let me do it. All right? So, now that I have that shape, you can see that it's hard to see because the background image is white. Now I'm going to tell Spotlight, hey, make that mesh for me. Okay, so clicking this little camera down here, so let me move this up more.
Throw this in the garbage?
Okay, so...
Throw this in the garbage, please. Can you throw this in the garbage, please?
Okay, so now that I have this little camera, if I just click it, it'll make a subtool for me. Right? But what I actually want to do, I'm going to delete that subtool. I'm going to hold the Alt key and click the camera. All right? And what that does is creates the subtool, but it's already set to a negative. Right? So what we have here is that. So I've got live Booleans turned on, and you can see the shape that I have now. Right? So I'm going to size this out a little bit more. And then there we have now that hole starting to come through. Okay? So that's pretty easy, right? And then now I'd probably rename this as, I don't know, I'm just going to put subs, not a sandwich, but as in subtractions. Okay? So now I've got these subtractions happening. And this particular piece of geometry that gets made, right? You can see the density, and it's got polygrouping, which is awesome. What is also great is there's no spans of topology here. So that's why it was easy for me to switch the gizmo and change the width of this. And I know there's no overlapping topology there. Right? So this is allowing me to go, I need that to be a little bit wider. Okay? And because it's got polygroups, I can come down here into my deformations and use this polish by groups to even smooth that out even more. So now I have that happening. And then what's really powerful for me now is using this move infinite depth. And I can use this now as my refiner to kind of just refine this shape now a little bit more. And all I'm doing is working on the piece that's subtractive. That's the subtractive piece, not attractive, but subtractive, right? And I can say, I don't like that dip that's happening there. Let me put less of that dip in there. Yeah, something. I'm preferring something a little more like that, and I want this to come up a lot more. Something more like that, I'll say. There you go. Now I've got this. Okay? So, now that I have this, again, looking at this piece of topology, I want to do something more with this. Because if you remember, right, if we look back at our image, okay, this hole goes through, but on the one side, there's a lot more going on here. Right? There's also a hole going through there. Okay, so what I'm going to first do is establish this. I want to establish that hole right there first. Okay? So I'm just going to, again, use something that we have been using. All right? And I'm going to say, okay, I'm on the sub tool right now. That's the subtractive, i.e. sub. Okay? Oh, it looks like, actually, looking at my image, I probably shouldn't have done this. I was correct before. Got the move infinite depth. Joseph, if you're watching, you're right. It's awesome. I'm a big fan of it now. Joseph, you win. Alright, so easy, quick refinements that I can do. And again, this is why I really love live Booleans. Because I don't have to just say, all right, this is what I want, like in Dynamesh. This is just going to give me abilities to edit. I'm going to throw a little more polish on that just to fix that one corner a little bit. There you go. Boom. God, this is awesome. I love this. All right, Tom, I'm glad that was new for you. That's awesome. Thanks for tuning in, too. Okay, so again, I have this. I'm just going to copy this. And you see it's making a copy of this. But what I'm going to do now is hit that handy dandy gear and say I want a cube now. Right? So this cube is what I want to use to make this hole. So I'm going to size this down. Right? And let's size that down. And it's going to need to be wider. Because as I size it down, let's say something like this. Okay, and these need to come up like that. Okay, and I'm going to keep that width. And the reason why I'm going to do that is looking at this now. Let's look at what I have here, right? So I got something that's pretty dense, and I got something that's not dense. I know what's going to happen to this cube. It's going to become like spherical, right? And then boom, this is super dense. So what I'm going to do is I want to get this density down, and there's going to be a reason for that because I want to do some transitional things in here, and I might want to use this piece. Watch, I can use this piece to also do some other things for me, or I could even use this piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just look at only this piece. Okay, I'm going to make sure I'll have symmetry on. Then I'm going to go to my geometry, boom, and I'm going to go to Z-Remesher. And what I'm going to tell it to use, I'm going to tell it use polygroups and keep the creasing. And I'm not going to have any smoothness. I don't really need that. And I'm going to knock this down to, I'm going to start at like 1,000 polygons. All right? And now I'm just going to say remesh that. And what ZBrush is doing is looking at what's visible right now and trying to remesh that, right? Sending that out and remeshing this piece is what because my ultimate goal here for me is I want to keep this shape as much as I can, but I'd like to not have 98,000 polygons because that's pretty much what I have right now. I'd like to have a lot less polygons. So this is what we get now. That's good enough for me. Right? And then now you have all these spans in here as well. Okay, I actually, for something I want to do, I'm going to get rid of these spans just for us right now. And I'm going to say I don't want any of these spans right now. Boom, boom, boom. I want just that still. Okay, and what this is, now when I turn on that dynamic subdiv again by hitting the D key, okay, this is now smooth, but then I can come here and just like we talked before, it's got a creasing on it. So I'm going to drop that down, right? And then now that starts the smooth. And in fact, if I uncrease all, you can see the difference we start to get. So what I want to do is now crease this, and you can see that is instantly giving us that rounded cube look that I'm trying to get on this side. Right? So if we throw that floor back on, there you go. Now I'm like, okay, this one needs to be a little more refined. It needs to be a little bit smaller. Now I'll get the shape that I'm looking for. Right? Because now I'm at least looking at it in a sense that it's soft, right? So now I got that hole going through, and I got that hole going through. Okay? So far, so good. I haven't lost anybody. This is how you can make paper snowflakes. Absolutely. I made a low polygon and imported in ZBrush. I've tried to use ZRemesher. I would need to see the mesh to see how bad a topology you're trying to retopologize. There's certain techniques. Nice by Sir Pure Gold. You're probably going to need a combination of how bad is that topology. As an example, all right, let's tangent. I think this is important for you all because I just remeshed something that had like topology that I didn't want. And I only did that for the purposes of, here, let me show you the purpose why I remeshed that, okay? And then we'll go and answer that question about you're asking about you can't get refinedness, and I'll show you maybe some tricks. Okay, so the reason why I did this remeshing is I actually want to put an insert edge here. Okay? Because if you guys remember, this needs to have some of the wood deleted here. Right? So if I put an edge here, okay, I now have lower polygon, so I can say, not work in symmetry now, and do say something like this, and then I can Q mesh this out, right? But you see how it's kind of expanding out like this? So it's going like this and expanding outward. So instead of doing that, I'm going to say spacebar transpose. Okay? And I'm on single polygon because these are temporarily white. So when I tap, those become available. And what do I get? A gizmo. And I can extrude with the gizmo. And what this is going to do for me, okay, just without touching it, is that. So you can see I'm already getting what I want from this image, right? I'm getting closer now so that there is some wood in there, right? And then now I got to look at my floor grid and see, okay, this needs to go straight across, right? And then this comes down. So this is why I was kind of remeshing it. I want to have this ability. Now, you could have also, obviously, another technique for this would have been, instead of doing this one, right, take this one. And then now I'm just Q-meshing this one polygon, right? And you can see these are now connected, right? But you see it's connecting by, in that sense. Okay? So I would probably, this is an example, maybe an extrude would actually be better. So I can do something like that. And then now I need this shape. I'm just going to do a crease all. Right? And then now we get that. That is more what I want to have happen through there. Right? And then now, this piece here, this one, right? If we're looking at this, this is now, I want to refine this shape a little bit more. So that move infinite depth. Oops. I can move this to be more flat to follow the shape that I would really want it to follow. Let's go the smaller brush size. Just refine that a little bit. I don't need to be perfect because there's still another stage for me here, but you can see that's starting to come to life now. Looking at the image again. Okay, there needs to be a little dip through here as well. No problem. Again, looking at this shape right here, brush Zmodeler again. Let's do an extrude down, right? And then I want this piece here to have all the creasing that it can have. And there you go. Right? So throw that floor back on. And now I'm like, okay, this needs to be moved. All right, so just this piece in here needs to be moved a little bit. And now this one, oops. I'm gonna move these points. Hold on, let me see, I need to see my masking, what's going on here. There we go. Right, so you can see you can have all these refinement movement shapes that you want. Right, and then again the same thing, this piece here. Right, I need to refine this now a little bit. Now I could have just made all of this, right, in Spotlight. That probably would have been even smarter of me to do that. Because then I don't have to do so much refinement here if I just would have made it in Spotlight. But this is what I wanted to do. I'm kind of doing this because I want to show you guys different ways and different techniques of doing things. Yeah, there you go. Right, so yeah, you can see what we're getting. And this is now going to come to the point of why I made a folder. Right, there's a reason why I wanted a folder here. So what I'm going to do now is I want this piece to be now converted, right? So I'm going to say, all right, this up here, these pieces here, okay, is the only piece that's really working with the subtractive parts. So I'm going to split this off right now. So then these are just whatever metal parts. Right, so I got some metal parts, I got the main piece, and I got a subtractive piece. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off this metal parts piece, and then I'm going to come here to my folder gear. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to tell it to Boolean with sdiv. I'm doing that because the made wood part right now is in dynamic subdiv. So that's what that dsdiv stands for. Okay, so I'm going to click that. And what ZBrush is going to do is run through the folder, whatever's turned on, it's going to Boolean it, and now I have this. Right, so I have a resulted mesh from the Booleans, right? What up, Randy Dice? Okay, and then this is what I have. So for me, I still want to refine this a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead now. And I'm going to remesh this, and I'm just going to use straight up defaults. I think the straight up default is probably going to give me a good enough result here. Okay.
I was too hot in this, in both of these.
And this is going to allow me to get a remesh version. The reason why I'm doing that is, realistically, this particular weapon, right, needs to have this kind of smoothed out a lot more in here than kind of the sharpness that I have. Right, so I'm going to remesh that because that's going to allow me to get some smoothness here. Right, so I'll let this finish remeshing. Yeah, I'm actually going to switch to a knife here in a minute. So since you're talking about a stylized sword, look at that timing. You can have them. Hey, I'm giving you my skills. McBubbles. McBubbles. That's good. You guys have such awesome names. God, I need to come up with a better name. Some of you guys have awesome names. I love it. All right, there was more questions coming through. I'm going to let this finish remeshing as I go look at the questions. Hold on, I saw a question come through. Okay, nice to see Paul, nice to see you. Can you please tell me if there is a workaround for adding a piece from active tool from a live Boolean, reuse it in the tool again faster than by adding it with a pen? Okay, wait, let me reread this question for my mind to capture it now. You want a piece from an active tool, from a live Boolean, and reuse it in the tool again faster than... So in essence, you have a subtractive piece, and you want to reuse it. Why don't you just duplicate that subtractive piece? If I'm understanding your question, that's just a duplicate. I would just go over here and hit the duplicate button in Subtools, and then you would have that piece. No. Oh, okay. So you're taking this a little bit another level here. So you're in essence, you are using live booleans to make something, and then you want the result of that, and you want to reuse it again somewhere else. Or i.e., you're making something with live booleans, and now you want to reuse that piece somewhere else also on the model, right? Is that what you're asking? Is that what you're looking? Okay, I would not make. I don't even need to make the Boolean mesh actually to do what you're asking. Okay. So here we are with this. Okay, so this is good for me. I love it because what I'm actually going to start to do is dividing this mesh up, right? And then down here in deformations, I'm going to start throwing some polish on it. Right, and then I can now also come in here with some brushes and now kind of just smooth out this edging if I want to. So you can see how destructive I can get now. So this is why I remeshed it. I want to have the power now to go smooth where I want to smooth, right? And because it's cleaner topology, it's really easy to smooth this out. Right, and then now I've got that roundness that I'm looking for through here. Right, and you could even, if you wanted to, you could probably remesh this again, and you would actually probably get better topology remeshing this again. Right, so yeah, my topologies is a lot better now. Something going on. There's a little piece of topology right there I need to get rid of. Right, so because then when I divide up again now. This I smoothed back. I got a little smooth happy. I need to put this back in there. I'm dividing up, and then now there you go. So that's how I'd start doing this part, in essence. Okay. So to your question though, let's say we're making something for this. Okay, gun, some other part of the gun or weapons. No, I've got another 35 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
You've been great.
And then after when I'm done coloring, I'll go potty and then I'll come right back in.
Okay, go ahead. So, here's what I would do for your question. This is what I would do. Let's just make something really quick. Here, let's append. Let's append a cube. I'm going to grab this cube. All right, and I want it to be a perfect 6-sided cube. That's just how I am. Right, so let's say this something's going to be up here. We're going to resize that down. It's going to be maybe that thick. Okay, it's not going to be that wide. It's going to be, say, something more like this. In fact, let's have a little more fun with this. Let's do a cylinder instead. And let's do that. Let me get more resolution this way. Yeah, let's do, say, something like that. And again, I'm going to size this down. Maybe something like this. Okay. Let's just look at this for now. I'm going to work symmetrically. Right now, along the Z. So I'm going to say Zmodeler. Saving. And we're saving, and we're saving, and we're saving, and we're saving. In ZRemesher, is there a way to add cut polys in just a part of the mesh, so dynamic subdiv, you don't need, you would remesh it and then just use Zmodeler. You could also use the slice tool, which the tool I think you're bringing up is based upon that as well. So let's say something like that. No, not this one. Let's go back and let's say 2.5. Okay, I need another one that. Okay, so now I have this. That looks good. I'm gonna switch to my Zmodeler Transpose ability. Click on that. Let's refine that. Nope. Not just one polygon. Not one polygon. Polygroup all this time. And let's make something more like that. Then throw a little clip curve on this. Boom. Okay. So I'm just making a little bit more of an interesting shape for us than what I have going on here. Let's insert an edge loop now through here. And I'm going to now let's not have these. Okay, I'm going to shrink this down. We'll make that one polygroup. We'll Q mesh this up. We'll say polygroup all, so all the green comes up for me. I'm going to change that polygroup on the fly. Perfecto. Let's also throw a little bit. God, see, now I'm just modeling. Now we're getting away from what you guys care about. I just can't help myself. It's just, I think, in my blood to want to start making something now. Yeah, there we go. All right. Let's go ahead and now let's apply some creasing by the old crease Paul Gaboury, i.e. crease by polygroup. And I definitely want some creasing now here and there and there, and I don't want those creased and I don't want those creased. Definitely want these creased here.
Dad, I forgot to wash my hands.
Okay, go back and wash them, please.
No.
Shh, I'm straight.
I forgot.
Okay, I'll be with you in a little bit. Thanks, sweetie. All right, so now you have something like this, right? Yep. And it's kicking in. I want this to be a little bit more refined. A little more, something a little bit more like that. Yeah. Now let's drop the crease level down, and let's see what we're making here. Okay, I'm digging it. I'm liking it. Starting to feel the flow. Feel the flow. All right, and I'm gonna say edge loop here. Okay, and then I'm gonna say.
A magnet.
Okay, please. Okay. And then again like this. And I'm going to bevel this. All right, we got enough here. We got enough that's making a shape that is something different. Okay? Now, I've got this piece, and I want to start adding other elements. Let's say, i.e., I want to put some little screws here. Okay? So I'm just going to grab the little screw out item here, a little fastener here. Here, we'll grab that. Let's work symmetrically along the X and the Z. So we'll put those there. All right, and let's say now, as an artist, you guys actually had these in pieces. Okay, so you got the big piece I was making, and now there's this little screw parts, right? That we have. And then now let's take this another little level. Let's append a cube. Lola, stay out of the camera. You're not letting me close. All right, so now that I have this, and again, I apologize for my daughter. My wife's just really sick right now, and I can't leave her by herself. So now we got this. Okay, and I'm going to say, let's do that. Let's do something like this. Not so much. Let's only do it right here. Maybe a little bit wider. Okay, let's turn that into a subtractive. And then so it pushes in on this part, let's just say. Something like that. Alright, and then let's switch to IMM Booleans. And let's put, say, something like this. Since I'm in the subtool that's subtractive, I'm just going to do this right on the top. And say, okay, that is perfecto. That's where I want that to be. Alright, this cube now needs some creasing. So let me throw some crease on this so it stays cube-like. And crease level 2. Fill that out. Then now we have this, right? So what we have now is this shape that I've made, right? And I want to use it somewhere else. Maybe I want to use it on this side now, right? Or maybe I want to use it over here in this piece, or maybe for whatever reason I want to bring it over here. Or it's going to be on the scope. Okay? So what I want to do to your question is, here's our problem. This, it's something you look through. Okay, so this is made up of 3 subtools right now. Okay, so obviously what I'm showing you right now, you guys can use this concept as much, and I use this all the time. So here's what I'm going to do. All right, I'm going to say, let's turn on our gizmo. And I'm going to turn on the pizza boxes, i.e. multiple subtool selections. I'm going to bring I want to bring some people to the party. So I need more than one pizza box, so that's how you want to remember it. Joseph came up with the pizza box idea. I think it was funny. It was great. And then I came up with hey man, how many people are coming to the party? Is it 3 subtools? Is it 20 subtools? So I just want 3 subtools to come to the party. Okay? So what I want to do now is use selection. So I'm going to hold down Control Shift, right? It's like using a selection brush, and I'm just going to select over that portion. And you see the only thing now that is selected are those 3 pieces. Everything else, okay? Comics is saying, look up here, right? Everything else is now like kind of ghosted. That's a visual cue telling you the only selected subtools right now are these 3 subtools, right? So this allows me to move these as a unit, okay? And what I'm going to do now is hit Control F, which is make a new folder. So I'm going to say this, and yeah, and then I say demo piece, and you can see what that's done now. I'm going to come out of this mode, and now I've got a folder with all 3 of those in it. This is a great way that I like to make folders. Okay, so now that I have this, and to your question, I don't have to Boolean this.
I keep the stuff in the back so I don't lose them.
Alright, so I now want to say, let's reuse this. So this is the beauty. I'm just going to come here right to the folder, hit the gear, and then I'm just going to say duplicate the folder, which means it's going to duplicate all of the Booleans as well. Right? So now this piece, I want to move somewhere else. So this is how easy it is. I've got another folder. I come to this gear and see this transpose set. That's what we were just using to make the folder. So when I hit this, the only thing that now becomes available to use is the new one. So you see that one sitting there, and now I just move this and say, okay, I want this one here. Let's rotate them all as a unit, 90 degrees maybe. And then I want it out, I want it down, and I want it there. And in fact, this one's actually going to be a smaller version of this. And I can size, I can move, I can rotate. And in fact, I want this one also to sit at a different angle. Let's say it's 45 degrees. And then I come out of that mode, and then there you go. Right? So I don't have to worry about appending it. I don't have to worry about anything else. But with that said, if you wanted to do what you're asking without having to reappend, I can just also click this gear and run the Boolean process. And because it's a folder, the new mesh is already going to be appended.
I put on a jacket.
Okay, thank you. Right? And then now this is here, but there's still the folder version. So I got a version that's all the Boolean process done, and I got a version that's a folder version. So does that make sense? That should clear up that question you were asking me to do this kind of, this is how I do that. This is my preferred way. Right? So, someone was asking about the sword. So I actually wanted to move on making another weapon. So this is in essence my process. So obviously from here on out, I would just do what I was doing for the back. Okay, well, I continue doing what I was doing for that back piece. I would continually do it now for every other piece from here on out, right? So that I don't want to pound that into your head. Okay, so I want to move to a different type of weapon, like a sword, or I'm going to do a knife. Okay, because there's a little more difficulty and a little more involved with it. Okay. So, any questions before I move on to a different type of weapon? Yeah, sorry. Again, unfortunate. I'm sorry that my daughter's interrupting your guys' flow. She's actually been really great. So I'm gonna do a kind of knife. All right. So I want to do like a blade. So this technique I'm gonna show for a blade. You could do this for any blade. Okay. To clean up an extract from an extract, since there's polygrouping with ZRemesher, I would turn on the polygroup options. And I guarantee you're gonna get a better remesh. This keep groups, and you might want to turn this slider off. You would try with the slider on and the slider off. But I would use this keep groups probably. Okay?
Dad, guess what?
You need more clarification for what part of the folders?
I found one of my Hatchimals under my chair.
Oh, great.
Let's put it in here.
So what are you confused about with the folders? Clarification.
I've been getting more.
Okay, because again, all I did is I duplicated a folder. And then this way, I just told it to actually run through the folder and do the Boolean process of folding a sword. Okay. So what I'm going to do, let's move on to something different. I'm going to grab a cube. All right. And in this case, again, for those that know me, I do not like this cube. I'm a big fan of the cube with just 6 faces, something like that. Big fan of that. It's what I prefer. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this image now. We don't need this image anymore, so I'm gonna turn this off. Okay, and I'm going to turn down the opacity of this. Okay, and we're gonna go back to fill mode 0. And let's turn on the wire. Okay. So, I want to look at these lines right here. These are your axis points, which is red, green, and blue. There's going to be more than one polygroup always when you extract. That's a built-in, you can't not have that. It's always going to have a polygroup in the middle, a polygroup in the front, and a polygroup in the back when you extract. There's no way not to make that happen. Okay, so the blade that I'm gonna make, let's see, I'm gonna wanna work, let's work symmetrically. We'll go along the X. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna rotate this 45 degrees. Okay, so I have this. Right? And then I'm gonna reset the gizmo. And now I'm just gonna squish this. And you can see this immediately, okay, is going to start creating a blade for you. You see that? Immediate blade. Boom. It's that simple, right, to get a blade. And if you want to have some more thickness up here, I'm gonna show you that too. Okay? So now I've got something like this. Right? So I immediately have a nice tapering happening. Okay? This I now want a little bit more flat at the top, because the top should be maybe a little more flat than tapering like it is on the bottom. So I'm just going to do simplistic extrude. Right? So now I have this. Okay, now when I do this, you can see the topology that's being made. So what I'm going to do, because I want to make this look a little bit better, I'm going to say, let's go back to Zmodeler. Bing, bing, bing. And let's go here and let's say, let's bridge across 2 points. So I'm going to click there. That'll create an edge loop there. Or not an edge loop, just an edge. There and there. I want it on both sides. Because I'm doing this for me, so that when I do that, you can see what I get now. I get a nice, clean topology here. That's really what I want. Right? And I don't need now these faces. Right? So I could just use actually QMesh if I wanted to do that. This is what I want for my blade. I want something like this. And so when I turn on dynamic, I'm getting this. But once again, I'm going to use my handy dandy creasing ability to give me that. And I'm going to say I only want crease level 2 and put me at 4. This is just my go-tos, man. It's just what I do. Maybe even 1? No. 2 looks good. Maybe even 3, actually. Yeah, I'm going 3, actually, for the blade. Okay, because I want that edge kind of stay. Right? So then this is what I have going on here. So I want to make this blade be a little more going on. Like, a little more fun here. Right? I had a little more fun with this. So I'm going to bend this now. I want to put a little bend maybe in this. Okay? And maybe I also want some tapering to boot. Okay? So I'm going to say let's insert multiple edges. I'm going to keep the default, but I'm going to say let's not change the poly grouping. So I'm going to add some edge loops through here. Just something simple like that. Okay? So now we have this. Right? I'm going to also insert just a singular edge loop here and here. So this edge right here even sticks out more. Right? So if I do a slide now, I can really make, see, like that pop a little bit more. This is going to be important. So if I go to a, let's grab a kind of a metal. Let's grab this one. And then in my lights, I'm going to drop the distance so you can really see the blade now. Right? That blade's now standing out a lot better. There you go. Yeah. Right? And then now I'm like, okay, let's add a taper to it. So I'm going to recenter this. And there's actually a taper right inside of this. All right, I can taper down maybe a little bit. Something like that if I want to go with this kind of blade. Right? But what I kind of want to go with is a different style of blade. Okay? So I'm going to go with more, instead of doing that, let's do a bend curve. Right? And I'm going to say, let's give myself some more points of interest. Say something like this. So this orange cone gives me how many of the dots I get. The red cone saying what axis point. So the blade's along the X. So I want this cone to be red. If I pull it, see it's green, and now that's along the Y. If I go all the way, and then it's along the blue, now that's along the Z, right? So you guys can see this cone's just controlling the axis. So I want along the X. The orange cone is controlling the amount of resolution that I want, i.e. the dots that I want. Okay? And then the white cone is a smoothness. The green cone is, do I want it symmetrical? I don't want it symmetrical. And then the blue cone is going to be some smoothing. So all I'm going to do now is put a little bend. Right? And you can see how much it bends. So I'm going to need some more controlling points, because I just kind of want not that many controlling points, maybe this many. Something like that. I just want a little bit of a bend to start happening here. Right? And then at each one of these points, you have these cones. And you can see I can actually bend this down a little bit more to give me that look. Right? And then now I have this, and this was all bent up here on the top. This is an easy fix. I could just unmask those points. I could actually switch to the clip curve and just say, and then now I'm flat along the top again, right? And I can actually change, the height of this any way that I want. And now I have something like this. Okay, right now I've got a lot of creasing going on. I definitely don't want that creased. Like, I don't need any of this crease. That's, Paul, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, right? Now you can see we're starting to get a nice blade coming through there. And I want to have a little more fun with this. Okay? So now I'm going to say, let's append. Let's just grab a sphere. There's my spherical. I'm going to say, let's put it on here. I'm going to stretch this, this sphere out. And I'm going to say what's important to me is definitely all of this. Parts in here. I don't like that. I don't like what's happening. Let me slice it here. Slice the curve through here. That way I can get a cleaner extrusion through here. This is all I'm really caring about. And realistically, I'm going to flatten this side. So I have that. And I'm going to slice the topology as well. Okay? So what I'm doing here is I'm setting myself up for live Booleans again. What I'm going to do here is turn it to intersect. And what I have now is this is defining what gets maintained. Right? So I could actually move this sphere part around and kind of play with the end a little bit if I want to. Right? And then kind of make it, what kind of end do I want? Right? Maybe I want a little ending like that. And because what's happening is, wherever this spherical stretch crazy thing is intersecting with what's above it, which is in our case the blade, I can actually refine and give myself a little something different, which is cool. I love this. Like, maybe I want something a little bit more like that on the blade. And you know what? Now I'm also going to say, you know what? Let's append a cylinder. Let's do that. Let's turn this into a subtractive, and let's put a little bit more differentiation on the blade here. Make it have some kind of weird something. Alright, that's a little too stretchy. Something like that. Just want to put a little bit of a bend hook up in there. Let's rotate it some more. Let's do something more like that. Yeah, that looks cooler. Right? So you can see it's simple, right? I'm just throwing shapes. It's like, be art! Be something! Ah! Right? It's really simple. It's not anything too complicated. Right? That's going on here. Let's also throw want to use? Let's throw something else at this. Let's append that sphere shape again. And let's move it here. I'm going to squish it. So it's something more like that. And squish it this way. And move it there. I'm going to turn this into a subtractive. And let's have this kind of do some kind of cutting in thing here now. I'll squish it more so it's a subtle cut in, and then I want more of something like that happening to the blade. Right? And then now this, I'm going to mirror and weld this over along the Z. Mirror and weld, and then now I want to say, okay, not locally mirror and weld, and now I've got it on both sides, because now there's two versions of this, right? So now as a user, if I turn on symmetry here, and along the Z, I can actually now click on local, and I can play with this part of the blade and figure out really what is it that I do want. This is why I don't use this sphere either. That pole, I don't like that pole. Let's go something more like that, let's say. And then there you go, right? So it's just a little extra little design element in there, right? Which is nice. Nice. Right? And then we can put designs on this. We can do whatever we want. I'm going to go ahead and append now a cube. Let's grab this. I'm going to change this into a regular cube. Holy gigantor. Alright, so let's size that down. Let's make it a lot smaller. Let's make it do something like that. Not so wide. I like this kind of longer bottom part. I think that'd be cool. Let's go ahead and crease this whole thing. Turn on dynamic and give that a little bit of some roundness there. Get a little bit more. Don't be shy. Get a little more. Alright. And let's put an angle on this. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my Zmodeler. And again, insert multiple edge loops, a specific edge. I'm not going to change the poly grouping. I just click. Now I get an edge there, which means I have vertex points to use there. Right? So now I can kind of do something like this. And I don't want it creased. I want something more like a rounded shape like that happening. And let's go ahead and insert multiple edge loops. Let's throw some more in there. And I don't want those creased, so I'm going to uncrease those. And use that handy dandy again, bend curve. But this time I want to go along the Y. And I'm just going to bend this a little bit. And then let me smooth it a little bit. Play with the smoothing. Just put a little bend there. And then put a little bit of a bend at the top. And now we've got something like that starting to happen. Yeah. You know what? I want to taper down here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go a little extreme with that tapering. I'm going to get rid of this edge loop so that when I taper down here with just a simple like that, it's going to have a nice transition from that line up. So I got a little bit of a taper there. Yeah, let's do it at the top too. That's working for me. That's working for me. Maybe not that much at the top. Right now this is now just doing, what do you want? What do you, like, you know, what else do I want to add to maybe this? Right, maybe I want to put, I don't know, put another little little element in here for whatever reason. Maybe I want something like that. Or it's the opposite. I want it on the other side. I would want that maybe here. Right, and again, this got creased the way I just did that, so I would uncrease that. Right, now I got something like this. Right, and then me, I like to start playing with other shapes, right? Really changing, okay? Some ideas with this, okay? So, as an example, let's just append some shape. It doesn't matter really what it is. I'm going to make it really tiny. I'm going to turn that into a subtractive. Okay, I'm going to move it up in space so it's not, extracting into my blade. And I'm going to have some fun here with some IMM Boolean brush. So I definitely want to be symmetrical. So you need to go along the Z with that. And let's grab this one. And let's draw that out. Okay, I like that. Got a little something different going on, breaking that look a little bit, right? Let's put, I don't know, let's see what this looks like. On an angle. Something like that. You know, I want to play a little bit up here too. Let's grab this one. This could be interesting. Something like this. But maybe let's angle it, maybe? See, I don't know. This is what I love about this. This is just me. I have no idea. I'm just trying things right now. And seeing what sticks that maybe I like. And what doesn't work. Okay, and then this is what I love about this. I can actually cycle through and maybe I find something that's better. That's cool. Something a little bit better. Right? And I would never have came to that without cycling through. So I'm just gizmo on, and then because I have this, I just, whatever one I click on, that's what I'm going to get. Right? What else do we have in this here? Ooh, let's grab this one, this blade. And let's draw that out here. I'm going to move this around until I find something that I'm digging. Now it's probably getting a little too busy for my britches. Right, so I'm going to go back up to this, and in fact, I'm going to uncrease this. I want that to be more rounded, I think. I'm going to go that route. And then I'm going to throw another edge now in here. I'm going to throw another edge so I can watch the shape change to what I want. And then now with that rounding, softens that a little bit more. Right, and then now I need the rest of my handle maybe. So let me just throw a cylinder in here. I think that'll be good to use. So we will 90 degrees. Okay, something maybe something like this. Oh, you know what? Let's change the shape a little bit. Let's go a little bit bigger. Yeah, let's go something like that. I want to see it, what it looks like smoothed. So I'm going to say something like this. Yeah. Okay, that looks good. Just going to keep it simple. Just going to extrude it out. So now I have something like this. Right, and then now I'm going to say, let's Q-mesh along a poly loop. But let's just use it as a move. So I'm holding the shift key, so when it smooths, it looks like that. Like I didn't add topology, I in essence inflated that handle, right? Now I want to be, how big of a handle do I want? And then let's taper it down. But you know what? I don't want to lose what I'm doing here. So I'm going to add another edge loop through here. Right? There you go. And then let's assign this material to the blade. So let's give this material color fill object. And then let's pick a different material so that we're looking at this instead, which is cool. Right? Okay, I'm liking that. Let's see Modeler. Let's also add an edge loop here. Right, and then now let me taper this. Give it a little bit of some tapering. Something like that. And let's also let's define this shape a little bit more. I'm gonna do that. Oops. I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna Q mesh poly loop it. And then put a little ridge out on it right there. Okay, and let's insert an edge here. Let's insert an edge here. And let's do interaction. So that when I smooth, I get something like that. Coming together. And I'm going to do that same thing in here. I want to have a little more bulkiness to it. Let's give it some more grip. Give it some more grip. All right, and then this. Let's play with this. This isn't making sense right now, right here, right? So now I want to refine that a little bit better. So handy dandy, easy peasy, right? Using some live booleans. So let's just take a cube, turn that into a subtractive, right? I'm going to make this a start group so it only happens to this shape and nothing else, right? And there, turn on dynamic so it kind of is a slow, so I get this kind of profile. Let's turn some more smoothing up. And now I'm just going to mirror weld that over because I forgot to draw out two of them. And I can't have local on. And you guys can see, so now obviously this is like the base of a blade that I can start now refining and making it look really cool. Like maybe put some etching pattern on here, put some kind of cool pattern on the handle here, right? Whatever it's your world, man. I'm just trying to give you guys thoughts and ideas here, right? So maybe come in here, not have any inner elevation, and maybe I come through here. Let's definitely have new poly groups. Say maybe that. No, let's say that, and then let's do it again there. Let's do it again there. Let's do it again there. And then now this poly group all. I pull out. I don't know what that's gonna look like, but yuck. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. But I was digging down here, so maybe I'll make another edge loop here. I'm actually going to bevel this as well, too. I want to put a little more of a transition happening right there. And I'm going to bevel that as well here. I'm going to bevel that here. So I just have a different transition happening there.
I have loads of projects.
Okay, and now let's do what I was doing there. Let's just do 3. Whoops.
I have loads of projects, Dad.
Okay. And then there you go. And then maybe that's an out. Maybe it would be better if I push this in instead. Would that look cooler? I don't. It's my world, man. It's my world, and I'm just trying to live in it. Not really. You know what? I also want a single edge here. Right, and then I'm going to Q mesh poly loop this out. I want some separation through there. I want to show that it's going in something. Right, there you go. Right, so there's another way to make another weapon. Right, super easy. It's not craziness. I'm just using Zmodeler. Okay. And then there you have it. Sometimes subtractive insert mesh brushes create strange artifacts like upgoing walls. I would need to see what you're talking about. No, you don't need to. You don't need to. You don't need to retopologize with another application. I can use ZBrush. And 100%. You can use just Zmodeler to make low polygon assets if you wanted to. 100%. So, but this, I could remesh this if I wanted to inside of ZBrush with just Z-remesher and then get it out to wherever you want to go for baking, since you want to bake it out. But it's also a weapon, so your topology can be really low, right? You don't need crazy high topology for a weapon. Just making some more refined. See, I can't stop. There's got to be a point where you got to go, all right, that's enough. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. There you go. It's a cool handle. I would love to be able to do some etching on the blade and then do some cool things in the handles. Do I do a lookup here when I'm teaching my daughter or anything? No. That's more for you guys, especially in a group atmosphere, to get everyone's attention. That's why I do that crazy, silly thing.
What?
Look up here! Alright, so that's pretty much it. Let me see what questions that I may have missed that come up, because I got really into sculpting there. She's not a ZBrush master yet. She does play. She's 4.5, so let me see. No, there's more Gremlin, but I need to finish sculpting the Gremlin. I haven't been able to touch the Gremlin in almost a week and a half, so. Yeah, definitely. This would be a great way. I did not see the last Prince of Persia game. I don't play video games, so I haven't gone and taken a look at that. Oh, I'm almost finished. When GoZ is being used, we're making a temporary file. It's going in your shared folders. So if you go to here, let me move this over here. Okay, so you just on your hard drive, you go to users, go to public, and then go, and on the Windows side, go to public documents, and right in here, right, your ZBrush, right, data folder lives here, which this gives you information. But if you go back to the public, there's a Pixologic folder. This is where all your GoZ stuff's going. So in here would be all your models in this default folder. But you don't need to worry about that. All it's doing is we're saving out the file so that it can be sent in GoZ. So this is where it's going, since you're asking. But I would clear that out from time to time, because that could be hundreds of gigabytes sitting in there. Which you can just clear out GoZ files in preferences, GoZ, and then you can say clear cache files, and it will go and delete everything that's in that folder. Which would be good, because if you're using GoZ a lot, those files stay there, and you're eating up hard drive space. So if you don't really need them to stay, which in most cases you don't, you can go and delete your data that way. Okay? Yes. I'm glad that you're getting a lot of information. So there, guys. You know, hopefully I can get back to the Gremlin this week. I'd like to actually finish him completely and show you guys what it looks like there. But there you go. There's making weapons with inside of ZBrush. So I did a gun, kind of showed you the workflow how I start working on the gun, and then there's a blade, a knife blade real quick. I really now don't like the little swooping handle part. Now that I put the main handle on, it doesn't work. It's not working. It's too crazy. This is too crazy now. I would get rid of this thing now. I don't like that. All right, so any questions that I missed, by all means, fire away right now before we go. But unfortunately, I'm going to need to get going here soon to move on to some other things I got to get done today. But there's a lot of fun stuff that we're covering today. And again, well, since I saw the extract one again, if you're doing an extract, right? So let's load this guy real quick.
What activity should we do first, Zach?
I'll give you a second. And let's say I'm making some kind of little mask element thing in here on him. So the thing with extracting, it's going to use the topology on your mesh, right? So that's the topology it's going to get by default, right? So let's say you have something like this. You go to extract, right? And I extract that. I hit accept. Okay, the first thing I would do, because it's being based upon the topology, I don't like this. So this by default is going to have polygrouping. So see, there's a polygroup in the back, polygroup in the middle, and a polygroup in the front. There's no way around that. So this, I would go down to deformation and do this polish by group slider right here, and just start cleaning that up. And if you do an open circle here, it's a lot stronger. So I want my mask there. That's more what I want. Okay? And then now what I would do is remesh this. So what I would also do, see these spans here? See, there's nothing. Like, there's nothing really to remesh here. This is perfect. What's there to remesh? It's clean topology. So since you're going to remesh it, I would recommend this. Since I know how the Z-remesher is going to work, okay, I would throw some polygons in here. Okay, so I'm going to make these all the same polygroup. So I would just give it some polygon information in there, and then do the same thing in here. Okay, that's actually going to help the remesher. And then now all you do is just remesh it. And what I would like to do is turn on by groups. I'm going to turn this off, and then just remesh it. And then there you go. I got now a new remeshed version of this. That's all clean, different topology. I turn on dynamic, and there, Phantom of the Opera is here. And there's a mask. It's that easy cleaning up. How would I create chains around a character neck? Well, that one's pretty easy. I would probably just grab the a torus.
Are you done with your streaming?
No, not yet. There you go. Okay, so have a torus like this.
Do you have a measure?
I'll make that a
down
there. Stop. I'll do it with you in a second. Okay. So duplicate this, and then just rotate one of them. Boop, 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 boop. Whoops.
I'll see how long it will. I have to go.
Don't cut it. All right, so now you have this. Right, so all I got to do now is make this an insert mesh brush. So how I'm grabbing it is going to be important. So you would hit brush, create insert, right, new, right, and then you would put this along a curve, right here in curve mode, and then now draw that out, right, and you can see I'm getting this. But what I need to do is change my stepping here.
I have to be this measure.
So that they actually overlap like that. And then there you go. There's a chain. And now to put it around something, the easiest way would be to, when you're drawing out, hold the shift key and go out to the document.
This many streaming will be fine.
Okay? So let me delete my subdivision levels right now. So again, draw, hold the shift key, and you see it'll go around whatever I'm drawing. So see, I want it to go that way. And then if I want to change the size, I make my size smaller. And then it's smaller. If I want to go bigger, I go bigger. That's how you can do something like that. Right? Don't forget, you could also, in here, define your slicing. Right? With the slice curve. And say, okay, I want to slice that here. Right? And then now go to the stroke palette, curve functions, and tell it only by polygroups frame it. And then now you have this, and because I have a brush with a curve, I click on it and see it's also putting it up there, which is hysterical. And then it gives it there. Okay? That's how I would do that. Oh, you got your cat in the arms watching? That's great. Okay, so there you go. All right, thank you everybody. This has been a blast. I gotta head out now. I gotta move on to some other things. I appreciate you tuning in. I'll see you next Friday. I tune every Friday. For those that don't know, Magdalena Dadella, her stream, there was issues with the servers going down, so we've rescheduled that for next Tuesday. I also would like to point out, for those of you that are in this stream that have never maybe used ZBrush ever before, is there anybody new to ZBrush in here that's like, what is this thing? We do have now a free version of ZBrush, which is ZBrush Mini. Okay, so I would encourage you to get this. This is free. You can download this now and get going. It's obviously not going to have all the things I've been using, but it's a great way to get in digital sculpting. So this is a new version. You can even use it for 3D printing if you want. It will allow you to only export in OBJ. So this is a great way to get into ZBrush. But of course we have other applications. I've been in the full version of ZBrush. We also have ZBrush Core. So that was ZBrush Core Mini. So we have ZBrush Core, which will have a little bit more of what we were doing. And then the full version of ZBrush. So if you have interest in getting these, of course, you can find more information out also for all three of these applications on our main page as well, which is Pixologic.com. If you want to get ZBrush, we have a trial of the version I've been using. And then if you want to buy ZBrush, you can go into our store and you'll have 3 versions now, ways to get into ZBrush. You can do either a subscription month to month, you can do a subscription every 6 months, or you can do a perpetual license, which we've given free upgrades for 20 years. Okay, and then ZBrush Core, the pricing for ZBrush Core is $9.95 per month, or just a $179.95 flat fee. And again, we have not charged for upgrades on our software in 20 years. I don't know if that'll continue forever. So, but there's so many options now. There's in essence 3 tiers for you guys to get in. There's the free mini, just get going. There's Core, and then there's a version I've been using today, which is the full version of ZBrush. So I would encourage you, go get that mini and give it a try if you've never used ZBrush before. It's so funny seeing the chainmail wrapped around the mask. Looks good. If you're a student, you get only a discount on the full version of ZBrush. There is a student licenses that you can get in the full version, but Core is already priced pretty low, and free is free. So the full version of ZBrush, if you're a student, yes. You can either go to your most recent reseller, whatever resellers in your area, or you can contact us. You can contact sales at purchasing at Pixologic.com. Okay, so thank you again, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in. Okay, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next Friday. If you enjoyed the stream, I will be here.
I'm waiting.
All right. Thank you so much. This is Paul Gaboury for ZBrush Live, and I'm out.